an original MCM production.
I think an important piece needs to be stated so that we can understand the way that we've gotten here is because of the kinds of policies that have been put in place. And even though if the policies did or did not, if people did or did not do them with the intent, okay, for them to have the effect that they do have a disparate effect on people of color. And so one of the things that I think is really important as we move to deal with the trauma-informed care piece, and we're trying to move in that direction for everything, for people through Department of Children and Families, for people who are in human trafficking, for all of these things, we're talking about do the trauma-informed care. At the same time, we just did a piece of legislation that came to the Judiciary Committee where we're going to now make it a felony, even if the child is not abused. And so you're creating trauma on the family. And then, I don't know if you know, but in a city where we had all those strip search cases, Attorney Saffron is not here today, but all those strip search cases that we had, so there was a bill that we're doing so that officers can not just when arrest and in a jail, but for when somebody is detained, that they can do strip searches. You do know that Milwaukee did not weigh in against that. You do know I called and asked, hello. I'm going to give a shout out to the one individual that called me back was Alderman Joe Davis. The mayor's office did not. I don't even understand why people were not on it. So I say this to say, if the policies that's being created are creating the trauma, you can try to do some, whatever it is, for the ACEs. But you created the trauma. So I'm just saying we need a criminal penalties review committee, which we have to be used so that when there are penalty enhancers, that somebody is looking at it to see what the effect is. And then we also need, the racial impact statements that Senator Harris-Dodd, came in saying that we need to do. We need to treat them when they're inside, but we just need to stop doing some of this policy that's created in the first place. Amen. Next, my alumni.
Kit McNally. I'm on the Community Justice Council and have been the citizen voice fighting for justice for 30 years in this town. I just want to make a quick comment. What you're hearing from people on this panel, and some who aren't here, like the Public Defender Tom Reed, is phenomenal. The collaboration to change this mess our justice system's gotten into since the 1970s is incredible. I have never seen this happen before. But there's still outliers. There's still people on our county board. There's still people, a lot of people in the legislature who are not supportive. That is exactly who I'm leading up to. David Clark is an elected official, and not only is he not part of this collaboration, when the council's gone after grant money and things like this MacArthur grant, he writes letters and says, don't give the money to Milwaukee. Now, let people know this, and when you go to vote, remember, what he's doing is not helping our town or justice.
May I respond to Kit?
What I want to say in regards to what Kit McNally just said, there's a lot of stuff going on at the House of Corrections. And it's amazing. The job center, I'm not going to even try to relist it. I just want to be clear. This is how much of that could have been done if the administrator had not been changed. And so I need you to understand that when I was on the Justice Center, the one who gets the Second Chance Act money is the clearinghouse for the best practices, data-driven strategies. When I sat on that board, they asked me, what's wrong with your sheriff? Because we led, and he did not necessarily, he feels like you should have did that stuff before you got locked up. And I'm not going to say that that may or may not be true, but when you got laws that's designed early on to help to create a system that the way it is, so yes, you need to remember exactly what she said when election time comes, but I need you to understand that the changes that have happened in the county, in my a little more than a decade, 13 years of doing this work, I've talked to a lot of secretaries of corrections. I've talked to a lot of people and tried to create these alignments. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't stand here and tell you that for real, we are making progress, and there's more progress to be made, but we are making progress in ways that can create the change that we want to see.
Thank you, Cynthia. Taylor, your name, and keep it brief.
I'll try to keep it brief. You know, I've been penitentiary, well, I've been in the system all my life, so she said keep it brief. It's hard to keep it brief, especially after I said I've been listening to everybody else speak. But my name is Torrey Johnson. I work for Wisconsin Community Service, but I'm the founder and president of X-Men United. It's brothers and sisters that's coming together to help ourselves, because, you know, only we can save us. You know, and my whole thing is the system was this, you know, a lot of people say the system is broken, but it's not broken. It's almost like they're remote control and you can't figure it out. But oh, I got to step over. You can't figure out the remote control because it was designed for people, you know, your little kid pick it up and work. So the system is designed to work. So now they mad because, you know, somebody else saying it's cost too much. But when we go to penitentiary, if you ever go to the penitentiary, you go, like if you get arrested, you go, sometimes you go to the police station, they get paid, then you go to the city jail, then they take you to the county jail, and then they take you to the MSDF, and then they take you to Dodge, then they take you to Antigua. So, you know, so everybody get paid. And then they got 1,000 people that liaisons that come talk to you, your PO come talk to you, the judges and all that. So then, what you know, I'm gonna keep it brief, but you know, I've been in jail all my life. You know what I'm saying? So then, when they say we gonna train us, I've been trained by Janetta Robinson. You know, I got Janetta in my pocket. I keep Miss Robinson in my pocket, but I was trained, and I also, Miss Pamela, you was my professor too. I hate to say that, you know what I'm saying? She was my professor in 2 classes, but I'm talking about I work for the county, I work for WCF, I work for Marquette with the Safe Streets Initiative, I work for the violence prevention from the Medical College of Wisconsin, and then I work for WCS with the Reentry program. They signed a piece of paper, sent it to the House of Correction. They said, no, don't let them in there. You know, why? Because I might help somebody. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been out of prison for 10 years, so and I've been doing the right thing. My point is, when you train people, what happens when you train all these people and then they still walk to the door and the door be closed? That's my point. What's the point? You know what I'm saying? Because training is good, but when you don't get nothing out of it, when do I not be a felon? When did I get sentenced to 10 years and 25 years later, I'm still serving that same sentence? That's the point.
I agree with that, and one of the comments that I had made earlier is that we're not going to be successful in this effort if we don't have employers at the table willing to give people a second chance.
Yeah, so Tori, yep, you bet. So that's exactly the point, and that is that we have to change even the perception. So I'll give you an example, and we have what's called the PARK initiative, that's the Promoting Assets, Reducing Crime initiative. You've got Marquette University, Miller Coors, Harley-Davidson, you've got Aurora Health, you've got the Potawatomi. They're basically both investing in the neighborhoods that they work in, but they're also now connecting themselves with people that live in those neighborhoods, regardless of their background, so that they can help them in employment issues. I think employers have come to an understanding as well, is that this scarlet letter, right? It's F or sometimes even M for misdemeanor. They have to get over that because it's in their interest to do so when somebody like yourself can bring such incredible value, not just to their businesses but to the community. So this is an important issue. Again, that goes to the concept of citizenship again. You know, you should be treated like a full citizen again and respected as such.
Okay, Tori, to answer your question, first of all, ban the box is part of what needs to happen. Now, the chances of us getting banned the box across the board, if I could be candid, in this legislature is probably not going to happen. Will we be able to get the box banned at some level? You know, I think that potentially is possible. But I hear that Senator Nas is going to be a problem, but I'm working on trying to go around him. However, that's what we can do at the state level. That's what can happen at the federal level. But there's also some things that can happen locally. Because Tory was doing work, helping to prevent kids who were in gangs, you know, from being involved in gangs and going in that route, and was saving folks and doing great work. The Journal-Sentinel, which hardly ever writes something good about people of color, wrote an article about Tory, and it was a beautiful article. And he wrote the article, and when they got done writing the article, MPS called and told WCS that Tory can't work with the kids no more because of his prior record. So what I'm saying to you is that that can be dealt with at MPS. The mayor and the county executive are not here. The county executive can deal with the issue of what the policy is for someone coming in the House of Correction to be able to work with individuals who are in the House of Correction, because I love the belief system. If you want to reach some teens, you might need some teens that can talk to some teens. If you want to reach somebody who is re-entered, you might want to let somebody who re-entered that can show them the way, who had to dig the path because there wasn't no path for them, and show them the way. So what can happen, and all the reporters for the mayor and the county executive need to go back and say they can do something. So for example, in my office, I hire people who have re-entered. I'm one office. If I can hire 5 people or have 10 people come through a program, I don't know why the city only can do 25. And I still don't understand why they can only do 132. Sound crazy to me. So what could happen is the city and the county could do something to be the first line of example for what employers can do.
Right. Lead by example.
I want to announce my name. I think most people know me here. I'm trying to figure out how I have a lot of questions, but I'll make it one quick one. First of all, when we get these teens, and I was reading this little booklet somebody gave me, when we get these teens that go to jail like this here, no one looks at this little thing called, they were minors, okay? They were drug and alcohol babies. A lot of these kids were, some were not, some were environmentally messed up too. We need to evaluate that. And when they go to prison, they don't tell you that when they're 19, 20, that, okay, they had some learning disability, alcohol and drug babies, and some of that behavior manifests itself as an adult. So we need to look at that and say, okay, we're going to bring those records up. But a lot of black parents don't bring that up. Listen to the news. Bring that up, because your child should be evaluated differently. Not that they shouldn't do the time for the crime, because I really believe in that, but the punishment should fit the crime, and give them some programs and medication, because they're judged as an adult at 20 or 19 years old, but they actually were drug and alcohol baby, maybe foster kids as a minor who invests in a brain that was messed up, and they should work with them differently than put them in jail for 40, 50 years. And the other one is that disproportionate sentences by white judges. Disproportionate sentence, you get 100 years in jail for maybe robbing a store, but I get 25 years in jail and probation after 10 years because I'm white or something. Get real. Start voting for people who look like you, and make sure we get people who look like Black Kathy in office, okay? And Sheriff Clark, we all know that's a sick man gone mad, okay? He's got some learning, he's got some disabilities of his own, so feel sorry for him. He's a sick person. He doesn't even like his own color in his skin, okay? Let's just get real with that. There's something wrong with Sheriff Clark. We all know that, so stop. He's got some disabilities of his own, okay? Psychological disabilities, okay? It's like little man syndrome. Get real. So what we need to do is stop voting for this person in office. Black people voted for Clark in office in that zip codes. You can look at the zip code. Stop voting for him, but he really doesn't run anything. What does he run? The sheriff department runs, the sheriff department, once he gets down there, he don't make decisions about a lot of laws. He writes up a lot of stuff and runs around on taxpayers' money to get in classes in California. But what has he done for you? Nothing. He can't make a law here. He don't make laws. He just has to enforce the laws on the books with the sheriff department. They took the House of Correction away from him, okay? Let's understand that. He doesn't do anything until the city arrests everybody, and then he runs around owning the sheriffs down there. They run like scared down there, and I've been down there for 25 years. Really?
Thank you, Kathy. Next. Your name?
Good afternoon, and to the panel. I think you have some. My name is Cassandra Umbacargo. I'm the ex-interim director of the Youth Advocate Program in juvenile probation in Dallas, Texas. And I listened to some of the plights that you have, but I want to tell you that what I found to be very critical with most programs in organizations is that the money is there, the program is there, but the services is not getting to the people. The services is not getting to the people. As you can see, the gentleman that was homeless that stepped up to the podium and said, he's homeless, but we got all these programs. So what I want to say is we want to concentrate on how to get the programs and the services to the people, and that's through what I found with working with my program, with my advocates, is through advocacy. Because not only is the client, and I like the word client instead of ex-offender, I like the word client, not only is the client in a disposition and ill, but the whole total family is. So you have to do a wraparound service with the family. You have to sit there and see what the family needs, because when they come from the industry or from jail, the family wants them to go out and work right away, and they cannot do it. They don't have the skills. Now, on the skill set, yes, MATC has a program to reintegrate them back into society. I've sit in the classes with these clients, and do you know that their personalities are assassinated? Yes, they are. The teachers assassinate their personalities, and they speak in the tone that that gentleman was speaking in, and some of the teachers do not understand that. They're offended, and the class is offended and take offense to it because they don't know. So what happens is that the teacher works with the 90% that's moving forward, that's been educated before and know how to get out of the program, and they fall behind.
All right.
Okay. Amen? Amen. Amen. And on the job issue, there's a lot of jobs out there, but we need to think out of the box. We need to go and co-partner with other counties outside of Milwaukee, because there's jobs that I picked too many up off the highway trying to get out to Ozaukee County, because that's where all the jobs went. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Please be brief.
I'm going to be real brief. My name is Veronica King. I'm the Criminal Justice Chair for the Wisconsin NAACP Conference of Branches. I'm also a DOC social worker and a clinical substance abuse counselor. What I haven't heard today, other than Senator Lena Taylor mentioning ban the box, is the current criminal justice reforms that Congress, we have bipartisan support for these reforms. One is the Safe Justice Act, and SAFE stands for Safe, Accountable, Fair, and Effective Justice Act, the Smarter Sentencing Act, the Fair Chance Act, as well as ban the box. Now, the Fair Chance Act, Senator Tammy Baldwin and Senator Johnson have initiated the Fair Chance Act, and the Smarter Sentencing Act, Congressman Sensenbrenner and Bobby Scott, congressman in Chicago, are behind that, and there's several senators behind the Safe Justice Act. So go to the internet, look these up. These are current 2015 criminal justice reform that will, down the road, address a lot of the reentry problems and situations that we're dealing with.
All right. Thank you.
For clarity, that is the federal system,
yes,
and the stuff we're talking about is our state and our county. And although that is important stuff, it is extremely important that we change the policies within our state, because that can happen for those individuals who are in our federal system. But if we don't do what we need to do for our state and our county system, ain't nothing gonna change.
Your name?
Hi, I'm Mike Duffy, and you're almost to the last person. I just want to mention kind of a micro initiative that might appeal to you, and maybe you can give us some ideas on your way out. And that is that a subgroup of Project Return has tried to address the housing needs of our fellow citizens as they come out of prison. And someone donated a house to them just a mile from here. They have done a great job rehabbing it, and the idea is threefold. To give our fellow citizens a soft landing, to give them an experience of community, and to educate the community that these are wholesome people. To that end, the house is beautiful. We're having an open house next Saturday, to which they are all invited and to which you are invited. We're at 29th and Locust.
Okay.
And I just introduced our last speaker, Troy. He's one of the best painters you will ever meet.
Oh, I'll take that card. I hate painting.
Yeah.
What kind of paint? House paint? Outside?
Interior.
Okay, I'll get your card.
He asked me to come over with a table of saints and do some painting at the house, and I said I'll come over and move furniture, rake the leaves, do anything. I hate painting, for real. But my name is Troy Hawkins, and I'm a returning citizen, ex-offender, convict, whatever you want to name it. I was with the Ziegler Center. We do community dialogue, and last week we did something with people in the community with jobs and employers and ex-felons over at Pro Trade. But to the panel and to the lady Kaufman, I don't want to say her name wrong. Koppenberg, I heard you on the radio station the other day, and I was listening to you, and I said to myself, why can't we get a group of, we have all these brilliant judges and elected officials. In the state of New Jersey, they had this guy was talking about housing. Or 3 sex offenders who were living under a bridge who filed a lawsuit that went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court in a 6-0 decision said that in 100 townships, municipalities, and counties across the state, it was unconstitutional. They don't have any laws for where you can live because the judges said it is unconstitutional. So we're some smart people here in Wisconsin, so we can come up with something. But I want to also talk about this. You talk about reentry and restoring full rights of convicted people. In 2008, when I came from prison, it was the biggest election of my life, and I was out. I had spent 3 years in Oshkosh. I was working at a temp job, saving my money. In fact, I was at the Bridge halfway house. They're closed now. I had about $1,200 in the bank. I was looking around. I couldn't get a place to live because of CCAP. Everybody would CCAP my information, and they turned me down. And also, I couldn't vote. So why can't, if I was out in the community paying taxes, working, and being a successful, productive citizen, why can't people that come from prison vote? Thank you.
I have some felon rights legislative agenda, and felons being able to have the right to vote is one of those things. Of course, in Wisconsin, if you're not on probation or parole, you do have the right to vote. Also, Collateral Consequence Act, to go to what you mentioned, Tori, also, which is at some point being able to go to the judge and say, look, I'm still just getting the effects of my conviction, and I just can't get, a break. I'm dealing with the collateral consequences 20 years, 30 years, whatever later. And so those are some legislative things that I would encourage you to be engaged. I want to say one last thing. Someone brought up the stuff about juveniles. And I want to say this because I want everybody to know this before they walk out the room. So you look at all of the violence in the cars, theft and stuff that's been happening. About 300 individuals are the individuals who have been arrested. About 70 of those are the ones that are the repeat offenders and that are like the major drivers behind what happens. Someone mentioned wraparound services. Problem, we don't know what services those 70 have gotten, or those 300. So, what do we need to do? That has nothing to do with the state system. That's all right here, local. So what do we need to do? We need to be able to have individuals wrapping around those ones that have been identified. That is the focus deterrent model. When you hear me talk about the High Point, North Carolina model, that's what it is. We need to put that in place. And then I'm going to sit down and ask this of all the judges that are in here. It was on Facebook. A judge who sent the jury back because there wasn't no people of color. I'm wondering, are you going to do that?
All right, I hear you. Okay, that will wrap us up for today. But first, our Madam Chair, Dr. Malone.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I would like to thank our illustrious and very knowledgeable panel. I'd also like to thank Judge Kessler, even though he is a state representative. But, once a judge, always a judge. I want to thank our executive committee for having worked so hard, as always. We have our own judge. And I want you to give yourselves a hand. And I'd like to give Ms. Jordan a hand. You did a wonderful job. My good friend John Chisholm, the mayor came, the county executive came, and of course, my former student, Miss Lena Taylor. So before I dismiss you,
an MCM production.